Good morning. How are you doing? How are the summer holidays treating you? Really, really well, I hope. I woke up mega early this morning. I was out walking in the woods at 6:30 this morning, and it was just beautiful. You know, that dapple sunlight was shining through, and there were all the early morning woodland creatures that never normally go there. By the time I normally manage to make it into the woods, and I just got struck by inspiration about a story that I wanted to share with you, that hopefully will strike a chord and resonate with you today. Now, in the interests of full disclosure, it is the summer holidays. We have got several children milling about out there. Who knows what could happen? So please forgive me if an authentic interruption happens, but we continue regardless, right? And I was thinking about telling this story as a post, but today, this afternoon, we have got tickets to go and watch Gladiators being filmed. So I haven't got time to write, so I thought I'd jump on and share the story with you. So if you are growing a values-led, heart-led, purpose-led, impact-led business, this one might strike a bit of a chord with you. This time, 2 years ago, so August 2024, I set off to do my Open Water Lifeguarding certification. Now, if you have been in my world for any amount of time, you will know how passionate I am about cold water and wild swimming and adventure and bringing that spirit and feeling of invincibility to your entrepreneurial journey. And I also know there are other people out there who are doing this stuff without the proper qualifications. And so I was doing my lifeguarding certification through the RLSS. And it was a full week intensive course at Lake Windermere with a lovely, lovely group. And the first few days, or the first couple of days, had gone really, really well. Because it was all classroom stuff, it was all academic stuff, so it was very, very intense stuff, and it was all things that I didn't really know because I don't come from that world. But I am the archetypal good girl. I am very, very good at academic stuff, and I felt like I was nailing this thing. And then it was time to get into the lake. Now, it's really important to understand that my type of wild swimming is lady breaststroke. I like floating about in waterfalls and lakes and proper swimming, but absolutely not competitive. And everybody else on the course was a triathlete or an open water coach or a proper swimmer. And we went to go and get our wetsuits on, and I had my little one from Go Outdoors that I use when I go bodyboarding with the kids in Cornwall, and they all came out in competition grade wetsuits. And I looked around and I thought, hang on, we might be in trouble here. So the first test was to wade into the water, and I say it was August in Lake Windermere, but if you've ever swum in the lakes, you will know that that water doesn't really warm up, certainly when you get away from the shore. And it was blowing a hoolie that day as well. It was so windy and the waves were a little bit rocky. So our first task was to get into the water, and our instructor, a lady called Annie, said, right, just go and swim to that buoy over there, pretty much on the other side of the lake, and everybody else set off with their competitive front crawl. And I'm there doing my lady breaststroke, and I'm pretty fast at breaststroke, but it's not slick regardless. And because they set off so proficiently, I was absolutely left in their wake. The water was really choppy, I couldn't get my breath, and and I was getting hit in the face by the ripples and the splashes that they had left when they set off. And then added to that, the waves were pretty high, so they were smacking me in my face. And I was trying my best to swim, but I was swallowing water and I couldn't catch my breath and I couldn't get my rhythm going. And I ended up having a panic attack. And I ended up getting into quite a bit of trouble and having to stop and breathe completely out my depth. And the feeling, if you've ever had that feeling of being out of your depth in water when you don't feel safe, it is absolutely terrifying. It's like this primal fear where you don't feel safe. You feel like you're going to die, quite frankly. And thank God I managed to get myself to shore, and I had to go to the instructor and say, I can't do this. And for me, who has absolutely smashed every test, certainly every academic test that they have taken in their lives, that was the hardest thing to admit, that I can't do something. And I was really upset. I was really, really upset. And the instructor, bless her, actually looked at me and said, are you sure you want to carry on with this? And it was devastating. I was absolutely devastated. You can imagine where my mind went. Thinking about, I've screwed my business. I'm not going to be able to run the retreats like I want to. I'm a failure, essentially. I do not belong in this world. Now, what's interesting is a couple of months before, as I published my book, Why Imposter Syndrome is Killing Your Business. And I went through the full rainbow of symptoms of how imposter syndrome was showing up. I don't belong in this world. I'm a failure. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. Who the hell am I to try and get qualified in this competitive space? It was horrible, and I spent the whole of the afternoon session spiraling. And I got through it somehow. And I sat in my camper van that evening, and I rang my husband, and I poured out my troubles to him. And he, of course, was really, really sympathetic. And I was a total mess, just kind of crying, saying I don't want to be here. I'm just going to go home. I'm going to give up. There's no point wasting the next few days trying to do this when I can't even do the basic swim requirement. And he, bless him, said to me, look, you can come home if you want, of course you can, but what advice would you give the kids? And I was like, well, sod you. Obviously I've got to stay and figure out how to do this thing. And then I got hit by a little bit of divine inspiration, which was to put a post on LinkedIn and ask for help. To literally, not in one of those like crying CEO, fake emotion, false bragging type, humble brag, that's what I mean to say, ways of asking for help, but a genuine, I am really struggling here. I don't know what I'm doing. Can anybody help me? And I sat in that van eating, I can't remember what I was eating for my tea, but it was something sad. I sat in the van eating my tea and was absolutely overwhelmed by the outpouring of support I received. I tried to find the post yesterday to find out how many impressions and likes and comments I got. I couldn't find it, but it was thousands and thousands and thousands. I think it might be the most popular post I've ever done. I was completely blown away by how much support I got, and that ranged from the "Yay, Claire, you can do it" right through to the "Look, this is how you swim in this situation. This is how you breathe. This is what you do. When you come back, I'm going to teach you how to do this properly." And I am so grateful for the support I received to do that, because what it did was make me feel like I wasn't alone, but also gave me the courage to go and try again. So the next morning, before anybody else got there, I arrived at the centre, at the lake, and I got in that water on my own, and I taught myself how to swim front crawl, and I did the swim I was supposed to do yesterday on my own, because I needed to prove to myself that I could do it. And every stroke I did, I had the advice that I was given ringing in my mind. It was like this little crowd of cheerleaders on my shoulder, spurring me on and letting me know that I could do it. Now, long story short, I smashed it. I did the rest of the training. I did a pretty intense assessment, including a live rescue from the water. I did it. I absolutely smashed it, and I was really, really bloody proud of myself. And I went back and I received some lovely support from people. Shout out specifically to Catherine Megson for taking me to an open water session and helping me get my confidence swimming in a more formal open water session situation. And I hadn't really thought about it until recently, because you see, it's been 2 years since I went through that experience, and right at the moment I am going through my renewal, and it is bringing up all the stuff. It is so interesting how going through those situations again, even though you've got the muscle memory, you've got the evidence that you can do it, it brings up all those discombobulated feelings of not being good enough or being in some way lacking. It brings it all up again. So right in the middle of the training at the moment. Tomorrow is my assessment again, where I will have to reprove that I know what I'm talking about, and I can perform at an adequate level of safety to be recertified as an open water lifeguard. So of course I will come on and update you as to how that goes. So, any support you'd like to send my way, I will gratefully receive. But I put in the description for this live stream that this experience was one of the most humbling but golden business lessons I've ever received, and that is for 2 reasons. The first reason is asking for support. So often, as business owners, as founders, as entrepreneurs, we feel like we've got something to prove by being the strongest, by demonstrating how much we can carry on our shoulders, by white knuckling our way through doing the thing. And actually, asking for help could be the thing that transports you to your next level. I've recently had that lesson again, in asking for support. What's that saying? That if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go as a team. And that is so, so important. And what's lovely is I'm doing the reassessment with some of the people that I did the original assessment with. So it's lovely to catch up and see where we all are. And then the second thing is that you get to decide where you belong. And since qualifying as an open water lifeguard, I've gone on to do several other qualifications in the wild swimming and open water community. And I have encountered quite a lot of snobbery about my brand of wild swimming. And there's quite a few people who don't seem to get that because I am not using these skills and qualifications competitively or for the sport, because I choose to use it for the Wild Edge method and how we use that as experiential coaching to help the clients that we work with, that there is somehow something lesser about me and my ability to belong in that community. And I just want to call that out because it is absolutely bullshit. Actually, the way that I am using wild swimming in cold water to help entrepreneurs is, in my opinion, a million times more impactful than doing a competitive swim, but we'll save that debate for another day. You get to decide where you belong. Now, there are going to be some rooms as a business owner that you walk into that you've got no business being in. And sometimes you can feel like you need to prove that you belong. And sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes you need to do what you need to do to make sure that your voice is heard. But sometimes you need to build your own rooms and intentionally decide where you belong and exercise that discernment about what is a fight worth fighting to pull up a chair at the table, and sometimes where you need to build your own table and invite your own people to that. But it's that saying, is it Michelle Obama, that nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent? And those lessons have absolutely stayed with me and been relevant so many times over the past years since I've been on this crazy ride that is this entrepreneurial journey. So that's it from me today. I hope this has resonated with you. I hope you've enjoyed the story. I hope you found a gem in here that strikes a chord with you. Please do reach out and let me know. I will update you and let you know how the assessment goes tomorrow, assuming I don't run away with Legend from Gladiators, which, could be a possibility. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon.